Chapter 8. Trials and Tribulations. L. Lily walked through the garden of roses. Her vision was blurry, but she instinctively knew where to go. At the center of the garden, one particular rose called to her. She knelt before it, drawn by its presence. A raven perched above the bloom, its feathers gleaming like spilt ink. As she reached for the rose, the bird struck it with its beak. A sharp pain stabbed through her chest. She gasped, clutching at herself. Again, the raven pecked. Again, the pain. The rose shivered beneath the shadow of its tormentor, unable to reach the sunlight that hovered just beyond the bird's wings. Lily didn't know why, but she needed the sun to touch it. The need clawed at her, deeper than logic, more urgent than fear. Her hand trembled in the space between them, helpless. She jolted awake in her chamber at the tower. Though the dream had left her breathless, she felt more rested than she had since her capture. She was clean, it was warm, and the silence was soothing. She lay back against the pillow, letting herself breathe. I could get used to this. The faint sound of footsteps outside her door jolted her back to the present. Fina's words echoed in her mind, reminding her to seek her out in the morning. As she rose, Lily's eyes were drawn to a neatly folded set of clothes, resting on a nearby chair. The garments, dyed in the kingdom's signature teal, were accompanied by a deep blue cloak designed for discretion. Brass embellishments adorned the attire's shoulders and chest. After getting dressed, she cautiously approached the door, cracking it open to peer outside. Though she guessed there was little to fear within these walls, habits from their journey kept her cautious. A maiden waved to her from the hallway's end. "Good morning, mistress. The high priestess sent me to accompany you to her once you woke." The girl led her to a flight of stairs to the grand door. With a confident knock, she announced, "The priestess' friend has arrived." From within, Lily could hear Fina's voice beckoning her in. The girl gave a polite nod before quickly descending the stairs. Lily stepped inside to discover a vast stone chamber, consistent with the temple's design of cobbled stone, mosaic glass and red carpets. A scent of jasmine reached her before she saw the flowers placed around the room. But what struck her most was the sheer volume of books stocked on the shelves. Parchments lay across the desks, pinned to the wooden beams, and scattered across the floor. At the room's heart, Fina leaned over a desk, intently reading from one parchment and jotting notes on another. "Ah, Lily," Fina greeted her without looking up. "Glad you could join me. I trust the tower's beds were more comfortable than the outdoor roots you're accustomed to," she chuckled. Curious, Lily approached, trying to decipher the work Fina was engrossed in. She must have noticed Lily's interest as she began to explain. "I'm translating the text of Lumar from Elvish to the common tongue. It has been left to the temple, as words and fragments of the language are passed down to us through generations. But, sadly, not all of us are versed in the ancient script. So, those of us who can, we try to translate as much as possible whenever we get the chance." She looked at Lily with hunger in her eyes. "This is where you come in," she exclaimed. "If you come from the land of the High Elves, then you might be at the center of our faith." With fervor, Fina shuffled some papers, presenting them for Lily's inspection. Lily scanned the text, seeking any semblance of recognition. But as she kept trying, a feeling of emptiness grew. It was larger than she had felt in weeks. "I'm sorry, Fina, but I don't recognize any of these characters. Are you certain they're Elvish?" Even without my memories, I felt a twinge of familiarity at the elven gates. These scripts feel foreign to me. Fina put on a reassuring smile. "I'm quite certain. No human records for over 2,000 years have mentioned these letters or scripts. Only through the Celts' persistent attempts to decipher them over the years have we come to understand them. They are a link to the light. Besides, the trinkets and constructions we find are untouched by time. Nothing of human make has such magic." Lily gazed at the already translated books, her eyes widening in wonder. Hundreds of thick, finished volumes stood on the shelves. It must have taken immense effort and dedication. "Are the wood elves of Gwelhir not your allies?" Lily asked. "I was under the impression they led the rangers for your armies. Could they not help you with the translation?" Fina's gaze deepened with a hint of melancholy as she looked at the papers. "No, they can't recall these letters either. An elven scholar I consulted mentioned that tales of High Elven and Common Elvish are woven into their histories. This language may be lost even to them. But never mind, she said with a sigh. My duties aren't for you to shoulder. Lily felt a pang of disappointment at her inability to help, but was ensnarled by curiosity. The light. What can you do with it? The most skilled among us can channel the light to alleviate certain pain and heal small wounds, like you have seen. Fiona tapped her chin in thought. It's nothing even close to what you did in the woods to Ghalen. That was as if the angels themselves came down to aid you. Her voice filled with awe and perhaps a hint of jealousy. But we found other applications too. When we etched the runes we've translated and carved onto Iranian obsidian, like these. She presented some gleaming black stones, so lustrous that Lily saw her reflection, and channel the light into one inscribed with the symbol of fire, it produces a spark. Lily tilted her head. Is that how you held me on the battlefield? Yes, we cast holding runes around you. But it took 5 priests channeling their energy, and you were already worn out. Otherwise, we wouldn't have managed to hold you. Fiona's tone suggested it was a compliment. Lily processed the information, her eyes widening. Hold on, she said, leaning forward conspiratorially. So when we were fighting wet kindling with flint while freezing half to death in Ilskar, you and the other priests could have just rubbed your hands together and given us fire? Fina's expression shifted. The light atmosphere evaporated as her face hardened into something stern. She set down the black stone with deliberate care. Our magic is not for tricks or convenience, Lily, she said, her voice dropping to a lower register. We pay for it with our bodies. Every channel takes something from us. Lily's smile faded. Is it that bad? Fire is the worst of them, Fina said, absently rubbing her wrist. No campfire is worth a broken arm. The pain can linger for days. She paused, her gaze distant. 4 priests together could create fire without much harm to any individual, but to waste so much of Lumar's power for such a trivial task. She shook her head. It would be blasphemy. I didn't realize, Lily said quietly, feeling chastened. Fina's expression softened. How could you? You command power in ways we can barely comprehend. She picked up a stone again, turning it in her fingers. We study for years to channel even the smallest spark of the light. For you, it seems to flow as naturally as breathing. I'm sorry, Fina, about the texts. I wanted to help, she said. She was frustrated. Perhaps she had built the moment up too much in her head, feeling too excited that this might make her whole. This was a long shot, Fina said, placing a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. Besides, I have a few more tests before I put you before the council. She gestured for Lily to step into a circle on the floor made of carved runestones. Palms up. Fina sat opposite her on the floor and cupped Lily's hands. This is the test we give to aspiring priests to see if the light runs in them. As Fina closed her eyes and began humming a soft melody, Lily felt warmth trickling into her fingers, then up her arm. A sense of calm settled over her, and she released a sigh. That smile tells me you're gifted enough to be a priest, Fina said with a wink. Lily hadn't realized she was smiling until that moment. What did you do? I channeled Lumar's light through you. If you're not capable of channeling, the light doesn't affect you, Fina explained. Oh, let's take a break. I need a few more minutes before the next test. As Lily pushed herself off the floor, her vision blurred. She tried to see where Fina was standing, but instead saw golden eyes looking down at her. Your light is too wild. You are not fit to be a radiant. A radiant? Lily asked. What was that? Fina's voice cut in from across the room. Lily blinked and saw Fina pouring a glass of water on the other side of the room. Fina hurried over. Another vision? She asked. Yes, but it was brief. Someone said I couldn't be a radiant as my light was too wild. Fina bit her lower lip. I'm not sure what that means. Do you know who spoke to you? No. All I remember are golden eyes. Does that mean anything? Fina sighed. Unfortunately, no. But we've got a response, so let's keep trying. They continued for a few hours, performing rituals and studying text and illustration of holy figures. Fina channeled energy through various trinkets and had Lily wear them. But there was nothing. No more sparks, no more familiar sensations, and no more visions. Fina slumped in her chair. I think that's all I can manage for today. It might be time to present you to the council. Lily swallowed hard. What will they do to me? Do to you? Fina laughed. They'll ask questions, then argue. That's all they ever do. I've watched you for weeks, and we've run all the tests. According to our prophecies, you are not the one who's coming. It might take them some time, but they'll reach the same conclusion. Lily followed Fina out of the room, her heart pounding in her chest. The stone corridors of the monastery were cool and quiet. The only sounds were their soft footsteps echoing off the walls. Fina walked ahead, while Lily's mind raced with questions. What would the council ask? What would happen if they believed she was a chosen one? They passed several robed figures in the halls, their eyes flickering toward Lily with curiosity. Approaching the grand doors leading to the council chamber, Lily's hands began to tremble. Fina paused, turning to meet her gaze with a reassuring nod. They won't harm you, Fina said quietly. Just answer their questions. Let them see what I've already seen. Lily swallowed and nodded, though her throat felt tight. The doors opened with a groan, revealing a large chamber. The vaulted ceilings soared above them, and at the far end, 5 chairs sat in a semicircle around a raised altar. Tall windows behind them let in beams of soft golden light, casting long shadows across the stone floor. In the center sat a man, his long white beard flowing over his robes. He appeared ancient, his eyes deep and knowing, and he looked down at Lily with a mixture of patience and expectation. To his right, Fina took her seat, her expression determined. There were 3 other priests there whom also radiated power and authority. The old man introduced himself as Greywald, and to his left sat High Priestess Ilara, a severe-looking woman with silver hair coiled tightly at the back of her head. Her teal robes were embroidered with golden threads. Beside her, High Priest Darren, younger and sharper in both features and gaze, watched Lily with unnerving intensity. The final figure, High Priest Ulrich, was tall and broad, his short cropped black hair streaked with gray, his fingers drumming lightly on the armrest of the chair. Step forward, Lily, Greywald said. We have awaited this moment for some time. Lily took a hesitant step forward, glancing at Fina, who gave a slight nod. You know why you are here, Greywald continued. We wish to know if you are the one who comes, the one who sent to deliver us. The signs have led us to this possibility. We must be certain. Before Lily could respond, High Priestess Ilara leaned forward. Your visions. Describe them to us. Lily hesitated, her pulse quickening. They come without warning. The one I saw most recently, it was brief, speaking of my light being too wild. Darren exchanged a glance with Ilara before speaking. And who was this voice? Can you recall any details? All I remember are golden eyes, Lily replied, shaking her head. That's all I can say. Ulrich's brow furrowed. Golden eyes. It could be a celestial messenger, but the message is strange. Fina spoke, her voice calm but firm. I've been with her for weeks, running every test, performing every ritual. There has been no confirmation of her being the one who comes, like I told you yesterday. The council fell silent. It is clear that her light is strong, Darien mused. But wild? What does that mean? Fina's eyes narrowed. Unusual, yes, but not the sign we are looking for in the one who comes. Greywald stroked his beard, his gaze lingering on Lily. The prophecies are not always clear. Perhaps the wildness of her light speaks to something we have yet to understand. Fina leaned forward, her tone edging toward impatience. With all due respect, we have to consider that Lily is not the one foretold. We can waste time arguing, but I've done everything required by the council. She doesn't fit the prophecy. High Priestess Ilara tilted her head, eyes narrowing. You seem certain, Fina Vera. Too certain. Perhaps arrogance often comes with youth. Fina clenched the armrest of her chair, hard, but kept her gaze level. I am certain, and I believe the council will come to the same conclusion. Greywald exhaled, his eyes closing for a moment before he spoke again. We will not rush our decision. The fate of the tower could rest on this. Lily felt her chest tighten. She didn't want to be part of anyone's prophecy, least of all being their angel. She glanced at Fina, her only source of comfort in this room, and hoped the council would see the truth soon. The council then set to motion, summoning adepts to get trinkets and books, going through most of the same tests Fina had done earlier. And after an hour had passed of readings, channeling, and closely inspecting Lily's markings, eyes and hair, they ended up with the same conclusion Fina had.
"We will deliberate,"
Greywald finally said.
"But for now, we shall end this meeting. You may go."
Lily bowed her head and turned to leave. Fina stood and joined her. As they exited the chamber, the tension lifted.
"That could have gone worse,"
Fina said. Lily opened her mouth but closed it again, hesitating. Do they not trust you? Fina glanced over at her.
"Some of them do. But I am the youngest and most recent member of the council, so there's bound to be some hesitation. Besides, you're special, Lily. Any commoner can see that. I think they all just wanted a chance to test you for themselves. Now, let's get out of here for a while."
Lily stayed quiet as they descended the long stairs of the tower. The next day came and went in a blur. Haldor pushed Lily hard with the endurance test and combat training to gauge her strength. Exhausted, she was then handed over to Pyra and Tessara to explore the city, visiting fountains, markets, and monuments. Sadly, nothing sparked a memory or vision. The following day was likely to be her last before departing for the Red Elven Gate. She hadn't been giving any details about it and felt a lump in her stomach whenever she thought about leaving her friends behind. But tomorrow, they were visiting Haldor's home for dinner. His wife had insisted on meeting Lily, and she looked forward to it. Fina mentioned they would need to ride there, as it was in a remote part of town, and had insisted that Lily learn to ride since it would be important if she were to leave the city later. Ilara, a dappled gray beauty, stood patiently in the stable, saddled and ready. Lily approached with uncertain steps. Fina watched with a raised eyebrow, likely expecting some display of horsemanship Lily knew she couldn't deliver. Yet, as her hands moved to check the girth and stirrups, a surprising ease guided them. It felt instinctive. "What are you doing?" Fina's amusement-tinged voice startled Lily from her focus. Blinking, she stammered, "Honestly, I have no idea. It just felt right." After mounting, a snake of doubt slithered up her spine. The confidence she felt a moment ago evaporated in the saddle. Fina's gentle voice, "Relax your grip, let your hands move with her rhythm," soothed the rising tension. Lily loosened her hold. Despite the gaps in her mind, her body possessed an unexpected grace. Fina had prepared her for beginner wobbles, but she felt balance. A strange sense of familiarity washed over her, as though her muscles remembered what her mind couldn't recall. Fina's sly smile suggested she had expected as much. "Try a gentle squeeze for a trot," Fina instructed, her keen eyes on Lily. As soon as Lily had to make a decision, she felt clumsy. Her heels nudged Ilara. Yet the mare transitioned into a trot. Lily's body rose and fell into rhythm. "Good job. That vaguely resembles posting. Timing needs work, but you're getting there," Fina commented. "Move with her, not against her." A wry smile played on her lips. "Getting this far took weeks for me. At this rate, you'll be leading the cavalry by nightfall." Fina leaned her head against the stable beam. Lily wrestled Ilara to a clumsy halt. "That's it!" Fina's encouragement reached her ears, sending a strange thrill through Lily. "You're remembering, even if you don't realize it." Building on this new confidence, Lily nudged Ilara again, this time with a touch more firmness. At Fina's suggestion of attempting a canter, the mare, perhaps sensing Lily's newfound resolve, responded a bit too eagerly, launching into a brisk gait. Surprise jolted Lily. The balance that had felt so natural moments ago vanished. Her eyes widened as a startled yelp escaped her lips. She tipped sideways and the ground came closer. With a soft thud, she landed in a pile of hay beside the riding track, more startled than hurt. After making sure Lily was not hurt, Fina could barely suppress her laughter, amusement dancing in her eyes. "Are you all right?" she asked, offering a hand. Lily sat amidst the hay, a dazed expression morphing into a sheepish grin. "I suppose," she managed, brushing hay from her hair. "That's one way to dismount." Fina chuckled, pulling her to her feet. "Every rider falls at some point," she said, the amusement finally bubbling over. It's part of learning, and you, my friend, have just had your first lesson in the art of unexpected dismounts." As they meandered on horseback toward Haldor's house, Lily sat proudly in the saddle, a wide grin plastered across her face. She relished riding down the paved road unassisted, the sound of Fina's muffled giggles reaching her ears. "What's so funny?" "Nothing, really. You just seem so confident perched up there," Fina said. Lily puffed out her chest. "Yeah, I feel pretty good." "I was tempted to let you revel in your newfound skill a little longer," Fina said, "but perhaps a touch of humility is in order. Ilara, you see, is a retired practice horse used to teach children the basics. Probably the gentlest beast in all of Arania. That being said, you're doing splendidly, Lily." With that, Fina nudged her mount forward, effortlessly gliding past Lily. Lily's grin faltered, replaced by a flush that crept up her cheeks. "A practice horse," she mumbled, her pride deflated. As they neared Haldor's part of the city, Fina slowed her horse, fussing with the ornaments on her clothes. Lily shifted in her saddle, tugging at the edge of her cloak. The hood pressed awkwardly against her temples, narrowing her field of vision, and the silk dress itched where it clung to her arms. She longed for the plain, worn tunic she usually wore. Fina tipped her head to the guards at the district entrance, who snapped to attention. "Welcome, High Priestess," one greeted. "An honor to see you this evening." Lily couldn't help but notice the increased number of guards and the grander houses. Here there were no refugees, and the air held a far more pleasant scent. The streets were clean, and elegant tiles replaced thatched roofs. Dismounting at a stable, Fina linked arms with Lily. "Now, about Haldor's wife," she said in a low murmur. "A powerful player behind the scenes in noble politics, and just as formidable in private. Expect a chilly reception. Just address her as my lady, and you should be fine." Lily nodded and swallowed hard. "I will. And don't ask about the marriage being arranged. It is taboo to talk of such things." "Arranged?" Lily did not have the time for more questions as the house came into view. The grand doorway of the residence creaked open, revealing a luxurious hall. Haldor's wife, Lady Elena, stood at its center, a picture of grace with an undercurrent of tension. Her posture was flawless, her eyes aloof. A red silken dress flowed to the floor, and golden hair cascaded far below her shoulders. "High Priestess," Elena said with a curt bow. "An honor as always." "Lady Elena." Fina returned the nod, then raised her chin. Haldor appeared in the doorway, greeted them briefly before heading to the dining hall with the cutlery. With a few quick steps, Elena moved in front of Lily, taking her hand. "And we have yet to be formally introduced." Lily drew her hand back and performed the deep bow she had practiced at the tower. "An honor to meet you, my lady. I am Lily." Elena chuckled. "No need for formality here. Welcome to our humble estate." She narrowed her eyes, scrutinizing Lily's face. Lily instinctively stepped back, unsure if she was looking at a friend or an enemy. Elena turned and walked back toward the sitting room. "Please, join me in the hall." As they followed, Lily glanced over at Fina, who nodded subtly in Elena's direction, as if to say, "I told you so." Yet Lily couldn't decide which of the two women felt colder. Elena's expression shifted to one of concern as her eyes settled on Lily. "Are you all right, Lily? You look pale." Lily was beginning to feel sluggish, but as she opened her mouth to respond, Fina spoke up instead. "She always gets a bit drowsy in the evenings. No need to worry. I'm taking care of her." A somewhat awkward dinner followed, marked by clinking of cutlery. Haldor attempted to spark conversation, but as he mostly spoke of combat, Elena asked him to discuss something else, which led him to discuss nothing. There was an undeniable tension between Fina and Elena, one Fina had not revealed beforehand. Any exchanges between Haldor and his wife were brief and to the point. It was hard to believe these two were bound by marriage, even if it had been arranged. On their way back to the tower, Lily shot a glance at Fina. "Is there some history between you and Elena?" Fina kept her eyes forward. "The woman is a queen of serpents in a snake pit that is Arania's politics. You can't trust a word she says, and any kindness she shows will be to further her own ends. No doubt she has already assessed what value you could offer her." Lily shuddered. She remembered Elena's gaze. It had made her feel like a piece of meat at the market. And yet, as far as Lily could tell, Elena had come across as kind. I'm not sure how to put this without being rude to Haldor. I assure you that I mean no offense to him, but you said she was a powerful player. Why would she
accept a marriage to a bodyguard?
Fina finished Lily's thought. Yes.
Though Kingsguard is no title to scoff at, I understand your question. Haldor seldom mentions it. His family has both wealth and power. They take great pride in their tradition of serving the Whitmore family, a duty they have upheld for hundreds of years. Elena's family, on the other hand, has fought tooth and nail for everything they've gained over the past century. No doubt they fought just as hard for this marriage.
Lily nodded. She would likely never understand these politics, so she let the questions rest. The next morning, a summon arrived at the palace. The moment she entered the throne room, Lily was struck by the majesty of the cobblestone construction, the rich red hues of the carpeting, and the formidable obsidian throne at the heart of the room. Upon it sat Ghalen, their old friend from the fields, who executed an air of royalty, far removed from the leader of their prior band, and on the wall beside him, a majestic painting of a woman with such an imposing aura Lily had to look away.
Come, we have much to discuss.
Ghalen gestured towards one of the chambers at the side of the hall. Inside the smaller room adjacent to the throne room, they gathered around a wooden table strewn with multitude of maps. Ghalen scratched his cleanly shaven chin.
I've held many meetings and sought much counsel these past days. My scoutmaster's advice suggests that the Elgarect people are rallying their forces much faster than we expected. A potentially catastrophic turn of events. It appears, Lily, that my fool's hope of your people aiding us might be our only chance.
Lily felt a chill down her spine. I'm their best hope?
Our scouts suggest a formidable force could arrive at our borders within 2 months. This leaves you less than that time to reach the Red Gate and hopefully uncover some way to contact your people, or at least regain your memories.
He reported.
I've arranged for a team of my most trusted allies to accompany you. They've been briefed about the mission and sworn to secrecy, so don't hold it against them if they haven't shared this news.
His stern gaze never wavered.
For your personal protection, I've assigned Pior and Haldor. You'll not find better warriors in our kingdom. As your healer, I've assigned Lady Fina. It's regrettable to place a high seat in danger, but they agreed your future is of great importance to the tower. Your guide will be the Ranger General Nellyreth. Though she's new to you, I assure you her mastery in tracking and hunting is unparalleled. She'll be an invaluable asset to your team. Haldor will be the leader of the party.
What do we know of the Elgarect and their lands now? Anything that might aid our mission?
Haldor asked.
I've scoured the archives.
Ghalen replied.
Much of it is old pre-war records, and I'm not sure how useful that will be. But there are some newly added documents as well.
He glanced down at his parchments.
They were secluded, not involved in our politics or wars. My grandmother's conquest didn't reach them.
He paused, then continued.
They worship nature and beasts, and somehow they fight with the animals. Control them, even though we don't know how. You should treat any creature you encounter as if it were an Elgarect soldier. They value strength and survival above all else. If you find yourself in a difficult position, take whatever path best displays those traits. That said,
he flipped to another page.
From what we've learned during the war, the Dark Masters never raised their own dead, but the corruption magic they use to defile the land seems to taint their people as well. Some of their berserkers bear cracks along their skin and glowing blue tattoo-like symbols. The more corrupted the flesh, the less human they become.
He looked up, voice grim.
If you face a tattooed enemy, do not try to reason with it. Kill it or run. Stare and clear,
Pior said, nodding. Ghalen cleared his throat.
One more thing. I will join you until we reach Quarry Mill, much against my council's advice.
He allowed himself a moment of silence.
The council will rule the kingdom until I return, or my journey meets an unfortunate end. My council believes the kingdom's end is imminent if the enemy army reaches us. I see no reason why I shouldn't put everything on the line, including my own life, to ensure the success of this critical mission. The southern banners must be returned if we are to hold out until your return. I alone hold the bargaining power to see it through. Orders have been sent out to both Ilskar and Arania to evacuate all civilians to the Keld border and prepare ships should the worst happen. My cousin will ride north to gather all soldiers to the capital to hold off any attack for as long as they can.
Pyor clenched his fists on the table.
Ghalen!
His voice boomed.
You cannot gamble your life on a lone mission. Your life is too important.
Across the table, Haldor rose so quickly that his chair toppled over, his expression unreadable.
The capital cannot face an entire army without its king. What message does that send our people? Fina, talk some sense into him.
Fina's face was a mask of stoic acceptance. She remained silent, though a flicker of concern danced in her eyes. Galen's gaze met Pyor's with a chilling calmness.
My decision is made. If the mountain is willing to grant me one last favor, I will be back to lead the army before the enemy arrives. And your plan is to just walk right into the den of rebels and ask them nicely to return?
Pyor asked.
If I bring an army, it is a declaration of war. Lady Olivia has long sown seeds claiming this war to be less severe than it is. But we know the truth. If their banners do not join us in this conflict, we will all die. No. I will not walk in there and ask nicely. I will ride under the silver cross and try to reason with them. Olivia might be ambitious and greedy, but she will not break the mountain law. And the generals under her command can be reasoned with. I intend to appeal to them.
And what if their demand is for nothing less than the South's independence?
Haldor asked.
Then so be it.
Ghalen said, leaving the room in dead silence as he got up and left. On the eve of their departure, Lily was consumed by doubt. What if I'm not strong enough? She imagined Ghalen stripping off his crown and forced to flee the kingdom under the cover of night. Fina, wounded during their journey, crying out for help Lily couldn't give. Pyor trapped across the mountains, never seeing his daughter again. Despair filled her, turning a much-needed night of rest into restless tossing and turning. G. Ghalen stood outside the temple, his personal guards a few paces behind. He was looking at the spire of the temple glowing in the moonlight.
I will never cease to be impressed by the beauty of it. This alone is worth fighting for.
He had marched there, determined to speak with Fina, to hold her in his arms again, knowing all other worries would go away when he did. Yet, when he reached the door, he hesitated.
She has enough to bear with without adding my troubles to the mix.
He muttered, sighing as he turned back toward his royal quarters. P. Pyor watched his daughter sleep peacefully in the novice quarters. In that moment, it felt as if all the horrors he had witnessed and all the terrible deeds he had committed were worth it to keep her safe. Gently, he stroked her hair.
I'm sorry, my love. Da has to go one more time.
He whispered, a tear slipping down his face. Stirring briefly, Tassara squinted and murmured, "Don't be sorry, Father. You have to protect Lily and Fina. When you return, I'll show you all the new things I've learned, and you will have more on the visit list." He smiled down at her, his love overflowing. He teasingly replied,
Don't you want me to keep Aldor safe too?
She patted her father's cheek. "Haldor has to keep you safe, silly. The strong protect the weak." Then she drifted back into sleep. It took too much control not to burst out laughing. The little devil said he was weak, did she? He planted a soft kiss on her forehead. Then a knot formed in his throat. Would he ever see her again? He slipped out of the room. H. Haldor stood by the window, staring into the vast expanse of the night. He had overexerted himself during practice that evening and anticipated the pain would come in the morning. Still, he knew the road would be safe enough for rest before his skills and strength would be tested again. A soft touch of the hand on his shoulder interrupted his thoughts.
"Are you troubled, husband?"
He averted his gaze, settling it on the floor. Thoughts of guilt crept in.
She's such a bright soul, and still so often overlooked. She deserves better.
A sentiment he had confronted numerous times before.
Yes,
He confessed, a hint of vulnerability in his tone.
I am. If I cannot share my fears with you, who can I turn to? I fear things will get complicated. I'm worried that my strength might not be enough to bring them all home.
His gaze returned to the vast unknown beyond the window. Elena stood beside him, hands on his shoulder, her voice warm.
"Remember to count yourself among those you wish to protect. We might have not chosen this marriage, but I've grown fond of you, Haldor. I hope we can make the best of this once you return."
He placed his hand over hers, finding comfort in her touch.
"And if you can't bring them home, my husband, I doubt there's any knight in all the land who could succeed."
F. Fina gazed out the spire window, watching the vast field stretch beyond the capital. The view was one of the few good things about this position. Responsibility and formality had never suited her. She remained convinced the chairs had made a mistake when they chose to sit her among them. Her assessment upon graduation from the temple still echoed in her mind. Arrogant, difficult to comply, prodigal with a wasted potential. Her real crime, she thought, was loving the people too much. The little people, as the chairs called them. She stayed in villages too long, helped too much, spent temple resources. But how could helping ever be a waste? She'd always interpreted the teachings differently. And yet, they elevated her. Either they saw something in her she couldn't, or the war had left them with few other choices. Whichever it was, she felt like a fraud. That feeling, she feared, would never leave. Her eyes drifted down to the courtyard below. For a moment, she thought she saw someone walking in the starlight. And for a heartbeat, she let herself imagine it was Ghalen coming to comfort her, like he once had. She scoffed. No, it couldn't be him. She clenched her fists. It would be too good if he'd come to his senses, if he could just remember the love they shared. But goodness had no place in the world these days. Her mind turned to what lay ahead.
"Lumar, give me the strength to keep that girl safe. If there's any justice left in the light, let me do just that."
The prayer didn't ease her fear.